So we have the back end working well for the tour guides. Now let's switch over to the front end for tour guides, where tour guides have their own page. Let's go ahead and pull up the mockup for the tour guide page. I'm going to jump back to the resource directory, and under the mockup section, I'm going to click Guide Profile with Notes, so we can see the one that has designer notes as well. So the first note is that the links to content here should match up with the categories. And if we jump back to a tour guide page, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to the administrative browser, and I'm going to go to Find Content here in the shortcut bar, and I'm going to remove this filter for filtering by tour. We want to only show the guide content type. So I'm going to click the reset button here, and now we have the guides displayed here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Phil Terry, and here's the guide page. Now at the top we have our description, and then we have our specialties, and the look lines up with the mockup, except for the image. But the specialties here, you may remember adding more than one specialty to the Phil Terry guide. So let's go ahead and edit this content and see what happened there. I'm going to go ahead and click the Edit tab. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and you see we have our specialties item, which again is a term reference to a taxonomy of vocabulary. And if you see, these are now radio boxes. When we initially added the guide content, there were checkboxes here, and there wasn't this NA, which means that there's no specialties. So what happened? Well, this was a conflict of sharing a field between two different pieces of content. When we set up this field initially, it was to allow infinite values. But then when we began using the field for the tour content type, we set it to use only single values. So this is one situation where it's not cut and dry whether you should be reusing a field or whether you should be creating a new field. So what we'll do is go ahead and set the field to use multiple values, and while it will display as checkboxes in the tour content type, which implies that there could be multiple tour types for a tour, that's okay, because the people filling in those values will know that there's only a single value. If we wanted to improve this later on, if people end up checking multiple values there, then we can switch to using a different field for the tour content type. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to Structure, and let's click on Content Types. And we can go to either the tour or the guide, but since we're working with the guide, I'm going to go ahead and click on Manage Fields next to the guide content type. And in specialties here, I'm going to go ahead and click Edit. I'm going to scroll down to the very bottom where we have our field settings here. And for number of values, I'm going to select Unlimited. Then I'm going to click Save Settings. So now if we go to Add Content, and we go to a guide page, you'll see if we scroll down to the bottom that specialties are now checkboxes. And if we went to add a tour page, I click the Add Content link. Now I'm going to click Tour. And we scroll down, we'll see that we can select multiple options for the tour type here. We had it set as a select box, but we could switch this back to using a checkbox style if we'd like. Now what seems a little strange and scary about this is that we changed one of the fields to allow a limited number of values, which apparently removed some data from some other piece of content that we had no idea we were manipulating. Well, the cool thing about this is that even though we made that change, all of the data was saved. And so when we jump back to look at the guide, I'm going to go ahead and click on Find Content in the shortcut bar. Then I'm going to click on Phil Terry here. We see that under specialties now, all three specialties that we had checked before are showing up. So this means that even though you can make that adjustment, you can roll it back in order to bring back that data. The data doesn't actually go away, but the display of the data, both in the edit page and the display page, change.